In August 1945, a Japanese engineer named Tsutomu Yamaguchi was on a business trip in Hiroshima when the first atomic bomb exploded less than 2 miles away. The blast threw him into the air, ruptured his eardrums, and left him badly burned. After spending a night in a shelter, he somehow found a train that was still operating and traveled home to Nagasaki. 3 days later, while describing the Hiroshima explosion to his boss, a second atomic bomb detonated over Nagasaki. Once again, Yamaguchi survived. Most people would consider surviving one atomic bombing nearly impossible. Surviving two seems unbelievable. Yet Yamaguchi lived through both and went on to live for decades afterward. In 2009, the Japanese government officially recognized him as a survivor of both bombings. His story is a remarkable reminder that history isn't just shaped by nations and armies. It can also hinge on the extraordinary luck, resilience, and endurance of a single person. In 1098, during the First Crusade, the Crusaders were trapped inside the city of Antioch. They had just captured the city after a brutal siege, but almost immediately found themselves surrounded by a much larger Muslim army. Starvation and despair spread through the Crusader camp. Then a poor monk named Peter Bartholomew claimed he had received visions from St. Andrew. According to Peter, the saint revealed that the legendary Holy Lance, the spear said to have pierced Jesus during the crucifixion, was buried beneath Antioch's cathedral. Many were skeptical, but desperate soldiers began digging. After hours of searching, Peter jumped into the pit and produced an iron spearhead. The Crusaders believed they had found the Holy Lance. The discovery transformed morale overnight. Convinced God was on their side, the Crusaders marched out of Antioch and attacked the larger besieging army. Against the odds, they won a decisive victory. Whether the relic was genuine remains highly disputed, but one thing is certain: belief in the Holy Lance helped turn a starving, trapped army into a force willing to fight against overwhelming odds and change the course of the First Crusade. In the year 897, one of the strangest events in medieval European history took place in the city of Rome. A newly elected pope, Pope Stephen VI, had a problem with his predecessor, Pope Formosus. There was just one issue. Formosus had been dead for 9 months. Instead of letting the matter rest, Stephen ordered Formosus's corpse to be dug up from its tomb. The decaying body was dressed in papal robes and placed on a throne inside a church courtroom. Then the trial began. A deacon was assigned to speak on behalf of the dead pope, while Stephen shouted accusations at the corpse, charging Formosus with illegally becoming pope. Predictably, the corpse offered no defense. The dead pope was found guilty. His papal acts were declared invalid, 3 fingers used for blessings were cut off, and his body was dragged through the streets before being thrown into the Tiber River. The spectacle shocked even medieval Europeans. Public outrage soon erupted, and Stephen VI was overthrown and imprisoned. Within months, he was found dead in his cell. Today, historians remember the Corpse Synod as one of the most bizarre episodes in medieval history, a time when political rivalries became so extreme that a pope literally put a dead man on trial. In 1868, a young frontier scout named Robert McGee was traveling across the Great Plains when disaster struck. Out of nowhere, a war party attacked. Arrows flew from every direction. One slammed into his throat, another pierced his chest. Then a whole barrage of arrows struck him all over his body. By the time the attack was over, McGee had been hit by nearly 30 arrows. Most people wouldn't survive one. The attackers assumed he was dead and left his body on the prairie. But McGee wasn't dead. Hours later, battered, bleeding, and covered in arrows, he somehow crawled toward safety. Against every expectation, he survived. Doctors pulled the arrows from his body one by one, and he eventually recovered. Years later, photographs revealed the horrific scars that covered his face and body, proof that the story was real. The Wild West was full of outlaws and gunfights, but few people can claim they survived nearly 30 arrows and lived to tell the tale. Most people know about Blackbeard, but few have heard of the pirate who stole an estimated $1 billion of treasure in one swoop. In 1718, a French pirate named Jean Lafitte's predecessor, Olivier Levasseur, better known as La Bousse, or the Buzzard, pulled off one of the greatest pirate heists in history. Near the coast of East Africa, a massive Portuguese treasure ship called the Nossa Senhora do Cabo was caught in a storm and badly damaged. It was carrying gold, silver, precious gems, and even treasures meant for the King of Portugal. When Levasseur and his pirate fleet spotted the crippled ship, they attacked. The battle was shockingly short. The Portuguese crew, already weakened from the storm, couldn't put up much resistance. The pirates captured a treasure so enormous that each crew member reportedly received enough wealth to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. But the story gets even stranger. Years later, when Levasseur was about to be executed, he supposedly threw a cryptic necklace into the crowd and shouted, "Find my treasure, the one who can understand this." To this day, treasure hunters are still trying to solve the mystery of his hidden fortune, believed by some to be worth billions in modern dollars. And nobody has ever definitively found it. Imagine being told at just 9 years old that you have a disease that will slowly destroy your body. That was the fate of King Baldwin IV of Jerusalem, better known as the Leper King. By age 16, Baldwin had already lost feeling in parts of his hands and feet. Most people thought he was too sick to rule, let alone fight. Then in 1177, the legendary commander Saladin invaded with a much larger army. Baldwin refused to hide. Despite being weakened by leprosy, the teenage king gathered a small force of knights and marched out to meet him. At the Battle of Montjuic, Baldwin's army launched a surprise attack and achieved the impossible. They crushed Saladin's forces and sent one of history's greatest conquerors fleeing the battlefield. But the most shocking part came later. As the disease progressed, Baldwin became blind and unable to walk. He had to be carried on a litter by his men, yet they still followed him into battle because they believed in their king's courage. King Baldwin IV died at just 24 years old, leaving behind one of history's most incredible stories. A king whose body failed him, but whose spirit never did. In 1932, Australia declared war on emus, and somehow the emus won. After World War I, thousands of Australian veterans were given farmland in Western Australia. But that year, around 20,000 emus migrated into the area, trampling crops and destroying fences. The government decided to send soldiers armed with machine guns to solve the problem. It sounded easy. It wasn't. The emus scattered into small groups, making them nearly impossible to target. Some birds even seemed to act as lookouts, warning the others whenever soldiers approached. In one attempt, soldiers mounted a machine gun on a truck to chase the birds. The truck bounced so violently across rough terrain that they couldn't hit anything. Thousands of rounds were fired, but the emu population barely budged. After weeks of frustration, the military withdrew. The emus were still there. Newspapers around the world mocked the operation, and the event became known as the Great Emu War. To this day, it's remembered as one of history's strangest military campaigns, a war where a modern army took on giant flightless birds and lost. Imagine ruling a kingdom, commanding armies, and holding the fate of a nation in your hands, while believing a single touch could cause your body to shatter like a window pane. That was the terrifying reality of King Charles VI of France. In the late 1300s, King Charles VI of France began suffering from terrifying mental episodes. At first, he seemed normal. Then one day, while traveling through a forest, he suddenly believed his own knights were trying to kill him. In a panic, he attacked them with his sword, killing several of his own men. But things got even stranger. Charles developed a bizarre delusion that he was literally made of glass. He became convinced that if anyone touched him too hard, he would shatter into pieces. To protect himself, he ordered special padded clothing, reinforced with iron rods. He refused to let people get close and would sometimes sit completely still for hours, afraid that even the slightest movement could break him. Imagine ruling one of Europe's most powerful kingdoms while being terrified that a simple hug could kill you. Historians still debate what caused his condition. Some believe it was schizophrenia. Others think it may have been bipolar disorder or another neurological illness. Whatever the cause, the Glass King became one of history's strangest rulers. A man who commanded armies yet lived in fear of breaking like a wine glass.
Imagine hiding in the jungle for 29 years because you thought World War II was still being fought. That actually happened. In 1944, Japanese intelligence officer Hiroo Onoda was sent to Lubang Island in the Philippines with one order: never surrender and never take your own life. Months later, Japan surrendered. The war was over. But Onoda didn't believe it. Leaflets were dropped from airplanes announcing the war had ended. He assumed they were enemy propaganda. Newspapers, letters from family, even loudspeakers telling him to come home. He dismissed them all as tricks. For nearly 3 decades, he survived in the jungle by eating coconuts, bananas, and stolen livestock while carrying out what he believed were military missions. During that time, he and the small group with him exchanged gunfire with locals, unaware peace had already returned. Finally, in 1974, a Japanese adventurer tracked him down. But Onoda still refused to surrender. He said he would only obey one person, his commanding officer. So the Japanese government found that officer, now retired and working in a bookstore, and flew him to the island. The officer gave Onoda one final command. The war was over. Only then did Hiroo Onoda lay down his rifle, still in working condition, and surrender. 29 years after World War II had already ended. Imagine going to war and bringing a pet baboon with you. It sounds completely made up, but it actually happened during World War I. A South African soldier named Albert Marr found a young baboon on a farm in 1915. He named him Jackie, and the two became inseparable. Jackie followed Albert everywhere, ate meals beside him, and even learned to salute officers. When Albert enlisted to fight in Europe, military rules should have kept Jackie behind, but Jackie was so well behaved that he was allowed to join the regiment. Soon, he was living in the trenches alongside the soldiers, wearing his own tiny military uniform. Jackie quickly became more than just a mascot. He warned troops when enemy soldiers were nearby, comforted wounded men, and even helped by carrying supplies around camp. The soldiers trusted his instincts, especially when he sensed danger before anyone else did. During one artillery attack, Albert was badly wounded. Jackie refused to leave his side, trying to protect him as shells exploded around them. Later, Jackie himself was hit by shrapnel. Despite desperate efforts to save his leg, it had to be amputated. Jackie survived the war. He was promoted to corporal, awarded a service medal, and returned home a hero. Few soldiers earned that honor, and even fewer had tails.